because it's not just the pro Christians that are making disciples or investing. Everybody in the church.
Yeah.
Everybody. Jesus didn't say, go pastors and make disciples, or go some of you guys that are a little more, it's like go make disciples. All of us. And I think if everybody has that mentality, this 2T2, 1 Thessalonians chapter 2, Matthew 28, go make disciples. If every one of us have this mentality, to me, that's how we grow, we mature, we expand in a healthy way. If it's only a few of us that do that, I just don't see the healthy multiplication and growth.
Welcome back to the Love Leadership Podcast. I'm your host, Mike O'Connell, with my good friend, Todd Doxzon. Come on now.
Come on, OC.
It's good to be back.
Come on, dude. Burpees from hell. You survived.
I survived. Can you believe it? My goodness.
And you didn't just survive. You're thriving in this season. You just said your consistency in the weight room is producing fruit, bro. You're not as sore as you used to be, man.
Our listeners are like, what are they talking about? We implemented a workout as a staff one time a week at a CrossFit gym with one of the fittest men in the world training us. And here's the deal. I thought I was going to hell every single week. I said, something's got to change this year. So I started actually training more consistently. So that's what we're talking about. How are you feeling after the workout? I mean, you've been traveling a couple of weeks. We talk about healthy rhythms. Like, you're back in the saddle yesterday, man. How are you feeling?
It was an interesting way to come off vacation, but Kyle said, he's like, lean in, dog, lean in. And Kyle was actually with us on the mission trip in Guatemala, and it was cool because we did a CrossFit competition down there. All kinds of people showed up. He was able to share his testimony. It was a powerful time, man. And, we weren't total bums while we were away. We still had, some workouts. Denise and I did a couple Pilates workouts, and we did a couple beach workouts. So it was fun, man.
Ooh, the beach workouts.
You remember those, dude?
There's nothing like sun shining, ocean. Come on, dude.
You led us in a couple of those. What was it, last year?
Oh, yeah.
We were in Mexico, and
I noticed
the amigos were like, what are these guys doing over
So here's the deal, y'all. Here's the deal. This time of year, man, it can be, you just never know what the weather's going to be like. And my man that I'm talking to today is so strategic to head to the south during this time of year. And so we went away with them last year. He goes away again this year. I'm like, oh yeah, this is right about the time we were away last year.
Yes, sir.
My man, healthy rhythms. Let's go.
Healthy rhythms. You got to do it.
Yeah, we've been talking about that, and we're just so grateful to be on the journey with you guys. I mean, really, what we've committed to in this season is you and I sitting down once a month and just having a conversation about leadership, the things that we're learning. And we recognize that leadership is a privilege. It's not a place that you arrive at. It's a journey you go on. And we just really are thankful to invite our listeners on the journey with us. By no means do we have it figured out, but we do want to share some principles that we think could help you. And today we're going to lean into a principle really that we've been talking about for years. And so maybe you can set up the principle with our listeners that you want to have a conversation around today.
Yeah, we want to talk about really replication, and really the verse, Mike, that we've been zoning in on for years that was actually a major focus at Love Church in this year. This entire year of 2023 is 2 Timothy 2:2, right? And Paul wrote to young Timothy, and the things you've heard from me among many witnesses, commit these to faithful men and women who will be able to teach others also. And that's kind of the rough phrase, but really it's the bottom line. If you want to grow your organization, your business, the church, a movement, it can't stop with you. It has to be all of us together with this idea of continuing to pour into others, give your life away. I think there's a verse in, I think it's 1 Thessalonians 2 is another one, man. So affectionately longing for you, we were well pleased to impart to you not only the gospel of God, but also our own lives, because you become dear to us. And I think these two verses really form this theme in this season of our church, where we have like nightmares, man, of leading a church that was a mile wide and an inch deep. And we're like, man, no, we want to continue to invest in people's lives and pour our lives into others, pour the word of God consistently. Who are the hungry people in the church that really want to grow, want to move forward? and commit to giving life away to them for a season, and then challenge them. Hey, it doesn't stop with here. Now you're called to go give it away as well. And we saw that Jesus modeled this, I mean, how did the church start? Jesus he had 12, right? Mm-hmm. People that followed him, that did life with him. He had 3 that were probably the inner posse, Peter,
the
James,
squad.
and John. And then, I think that he had 1. So we've been challenging people for years. Who's your 12? Who's your 3? Who's your 1? And there's been some seasons, Mike, where it's been kind of loose, it's spirit-led, and I love that. Mm-hmm. And some people on our team, specifically our leadership team, were leaning into it, giving their life away. We saw replication, and the church continues to grow. And then we saw some seasons where, and I'll admit personally, where I got a little lackadaisical, a little complacent in that. And not only did I feel it in my soul, like I felt like, spiritual constipation or, just complacency, Christianity,
Yeah, for sure.
Because there wasn't that outlet to give life away. And so we're just committed, man, as a church. Man, we're calling it 2T2 from 2 Timothy 2:2. So that's the idea for this episode is I think you and I both talked about it. We, not only just the leaders at Love Church, but the people that are tuning into this podcast, challenging all of us, give your life away. Give your life away.
For sure. Yeah, it's such an important thing because if you look at as I observe healthy organizations, a lot of times you just look around and you see a bunch of healthy leaders.
That's right.
And so, this is such a key to, continue to flourish, continue to grow, continue to elevate, continue to expand. I mean, there's you come up upon these lids inside of your organization, and if we really look at the real issue, it's have we actually developed people, right? Are there people that we're developing? And so you kind of touched on this a little bit. You said there's seasons where we can get lackadaisical. Mm-hmm. I think, I guess I would just ask you from your perspective, can we dive into that? Because I think that's the problem we need to address. Like, why aren't we developing leaders? Why do we get distracted as leaders? Like, what are the things that are stopping us from actually walking this out?
Man, that's a good question. Let me just go back to, Mike, when I first came to Christ, in my car in a snowstorm on the way to delivery of a sandwich and a bag of weed. Right thereafter, I get signed, by the New England Patriots. They send me to NFL Europe. I room with Kurt Warner for 4 months. And that right there was the beginning of this whole passion to give life away. What happened? Kurt literally lived with me. He gave his life away. I watched him close. Oh, this is what a Christian competitor looks like. A husband, a father. I got to see firsthand. I never knew that, Mike. I thought you become a Christian, you turn your cool card in, you're a lame-o, and I'm seeing this up close and personal. No, this is what biblical Christianity looks like. Was Kurt perfect? No, but man, that's a dude that I could follow. And so that set me up, I think, man, that the importance of that early on in my walk with Christ gave Denise and I both this passion. And then what do we do, right? You then have people move in with us, over 30 kids live with us, our own kids. You live with us for a while, Kappas, some of our key pastoral team has done life with us, right? I've learned from other people, not just Kurt, Doc Ringwald we talk about a lot. So I've had so many people pour into my life, and then you just give it away. And that's the beauty that happens, right? Is this rhythm. And for whatever reason, to your point, to answer your question, there's been seasons in my life where I have gotten distracted. I've gotten complacent. I've gotten focused on something else. Or maybe I'm still bringing in a lot of, the Word of God, the Spirit of God, different leaders are pouring into me. But if I'm honest, I didn't take then the prayerful, I wasn't proactive to go, Lord, who is in my sphere of influence that you've brought in? They're hungry, they're ready, they want to grow. I vibe well with them. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't really proactive in that. And so there's these gaps that I would say in my leadership, if I'm honest, that I just haven't seen a lot of fruit. And again, it wasn't just the outflow that wasn't flowing, but inside.
Yep.
And I just think that we as leaders, as Christians, are called. Jesus said, go make disciples of all nations. Paul said, and the things you've heard from me among many witnesses, commit these to other people in your sphere of influence.
Yeah.
And even just recently this year, we've committed to this as a leadership team, all of us.
Yep.
And it's not a headlock. It's not a force. It's like, what a privilege.
Yeah.
One of the guys I'm investing in, just came to Christ within the past year and really went through a really tough stretch. God got his attention, but the dude is hungry, man.
Hungry.
I vibe well with him. Yep. He's hungry. It's the right season. And you and I both are the same way as preachers. Like, there's nothing worse that you're preaching and then you have someone, oh man, I had to come to church.
For sure.
You get someone leaning in, they're ready to take notes.
Hello.
They're expectant to hear from God.
Yep.
To me, it's like, dude, I'm alive, they're alive. It's a win-win scenario. And quite honestly, there's some people in my sphere of influence that for whatever reason, they're not quite ready, and there's no shame, no blame. There's no, condemning, but I'd rather spend time with the people. They're ready. They're hungry. Let's go for it.
That's so good. It's funny. The word I heard you say earlier was spiritual constipation. I think that's so good, dude, man. Because as I think about that, and I just want to draw our listeners to that, because if you think about the story he just shared about Kurt investing in his life, and what a gift to learn that principle early on. Because the reality is we live in a culture where there's so much consumption, right? And if we're not careful inside the church, we can become consumers.
Totally.
Like just consuming. It's all about me. The church exists for me. No, we're the church and we exist for the world, right? We're not called to be lakes. We're called to be rivers. We're called to receive and then give. And when we have that healthy flow, that's when we see this actually work and be effective, which leads me to the second piece that I wanted to ask you about was, you talk a lot about in our seasons where we're the most healthy, we probably have a PBT. That kind of keeps this flow of and if we think about the word disciple, it means learner. And if we're disciple makers, then we're giving away what we've learned to help somebody else for them in their season of being a learner. So can you just break down the PBT concept, this idea of receiving and not just letting it sit, but then giving it away? I think the PBT does a great job of breaking that down.
It's a great framework to work through. And the PBT stands for Paul, Barnabas, Timothy. And in our healthy seasons, there is those three individuals in my life. Paul, someone who's maybe, spiritually down the road a little bit further, right? Maybe they've lived life, maybe even a specific area as a lead pastor or leading a business, a father, a mother. A little bit farther down that road, they've lived life, they have a little more experience, a little more insight into the word. And so now you're meeting with them regularly and they're pouring that wisdom, that, that scripture, the Holy Spirit, life experience into your life. And I just had one of those, this random with one of my spiritual idols, I would call him, in a cold tub. And I asked him a few questions. He gives me this master class in 20 minutes.
Come on.
In the cold tub, for 3 minutes, and then the hot tub. That was good.
Yeah, there we go.
And it was God through this man in a specific season of my life. He's been a Paul. He doesn't even know he's been a Paul in my life for years. And here, randomly, I have this great privilege of learning from him. It's a Paul. A Barnabas would be probably something similar to you and I, Mike, where you and I are probably on a similar kind of path right now and in this encouraging one another back and forth, right? Maybe a spiritual season that's real similar, and we're sharpening one another. It's like Proverbs 27:17, as iron sharpens iron, so does one man sharpen the countenance of another.
That's great.
And in Barnabas in the Bible, his name means son of encouragement.
Come on.
Anytime I'm around you, I'm encouraged, right? I just was with, Cap and Chad, a couple of our good friends. Anytime I'm around those guys, it's very, very similar. It's a Barnabas experience. I'm encouraged. I'm challenged. I'm motivated.
Come on.
I look at Chad's life, for example. I'm like, the guy's a chiseled mess, and he's one of the most diligent guys. He's a send-it guy.
Yeah.
And
great father.
Yeah.
The guy just wins in every area of his life.
He's just a winner, right? And he's got an energy about him.
Yep.
Love being around those type of guys, the Barnabas. And then a Timothy. And a Timothy would be someone that you identify in your sphere of influence that is hungry, wanting to grow, and they just need, man, they need a mentor. They need a friend. They need someone to invest in them. And this just actually happened. Cap's wife, Joy, so one of our pastor's wives, and she literally embodies joy, by the way. She's just classic. She is. Makes me laugh.
Funniest
so hard,
person I know.
by far. And so she's like, I'm raising 3 kids, but I just really feel the Lord leading me to, I'm raising 3 kids, but there needs to be an outlet of me pouring into a young woman, probably very similar life stage with young kids, that's hungry, but that just needs someone spiritually to invest in them a little bit more. So we talked about this young lady at the church, right? She's hungry and it would be a good vibe. And she's like, I feel like I'm called to go help. That's an example of a Timothy, right? Or I don't know, a Timothyette or something. I don't know how you'd call it.
I think that's what it would be.
But it's like a PBT, right? Yep. So you got a Paul, someone investing, Barnabas sharpening, Timothy, someone you're investing in. And in those seasons where all 3 of those individuals are in my life is when I'm cooking with grease.
For sure. I love that. And I love that you touched on even the idea of a Paul, like for example, there are some leaders that you may never have access to meet with in person.
Right.
But this is the beauty of the digital landscape that we live in today is there are really no excuses any longer to not be a learner, to not be mentored, whether it's an audiobook, a podcast, the courses that you have access to. There are ways that we can continue to grow and be developed, by various leaders that are out there. But I want to focus on the idea of pouring out, of replication, of developing. And I just want to address this because I think it's healthy, especially this is a leadership podcast. And we know that in the Bible, we are called to make disciples. Yeah. So you've got this idea of making disciples, and then you've got this other concept of leadership development. Our good friend, Mac Lake, who just spent some time with our staff, he would say, man, people want to say, don't bring that corporate stuff into the church. And I love what he says he says this, discipleship and leadership development are the same thing.
Yeah.
Leadership development is just the discipleship of leaders. Here's where I want to take the conversation now is when we're thinking about this idea of investing, replication, Timothy, just talk through candidly some of the frustrations over the years of giving your life away as a leader. And then you're like, I just invested my life. Like, where's the return on that investment? And it's not,
where's the ROI?
It's not always gonna go well, but I do think we can offer some perspective and things we're learning in this season right now as an organization that could potentially help you, determine, man, is this somebody that I should be giving my life away to as a leader?
Goes back to the number one question, and we're probably going to make some listeners ill by saying this question, but Pastor Steve very clearly challenged us, and this is so many areas. Lord, this is the prayer. Lord, in this season, what are you inviting me into? And I would say that's the number one thing. Lord, what are you inviting me into in this season when it comes to investing in someone? Praying for discernment, right? And what's really helped us when we talk about adding people to our staff or whatever, we have these leadership values, right? Yes. And so what does that do? That gains us clarity on who we're bringing on our team. And I would say that's similar to, as I pray through, Lord, who are you inviting me to invest in this season? As I open my eyes to those in my sphere of influence, who does have leadership capacity?
That's it.
Who is genuinely all in with the Lord, right? Who wants to grow? And then who has the ability to take what God's given through me to them to then continue it on, right? The last thing you want is, you're pouring all this out and then it just stops. For sure. That's just bad. Imagine if you invested in a stock and it didn't bring you any returns. For sure. You wouldn't invest in that stock. Absolutely. It's bad stewardship at that point. Absolutely. And I look at it as a stewardship issue, Mike, where I'm not judging someone, but man, if God's given me this call of influence and to take a specific vision and help more and more people, not just come to Christ, but then grow in their relationship with Christ, to me, that's gigantic, man. We have to steward that well.
Absolutely. And I think I love that you said that. The leadership values have been just a great tool for us when it comes to who should we be investing into. And I want to share what we've been learning this season in regards to the leadership pipeline, because I think this could be really helpful for our listeners. And this really comes from Mac Lake. So if you really want to dive more into what I'm going to share here, go look his stuff up. We may even be able to link to it in the show notes. But this leadership pipeline philosophy has really helped us in this season as we've started to think about our own leadership pipeline. And really what it is just a pathway, getting a better understanding of who your people are and where they're at in their development journey. And the reason why I think I want to share this with our listeners is because I think it could just this sort of awareness could help you as a leader if you find yourself in that season where you're frustrated, like you've poured out in these people and you look around and you're like, we don't have any more leaders and I've been giving my life away. What is going on here? Well, let me break this down for you. So you've got at the first level, you've got leading self. Okay. Then at the second level, you've got leading others. Mm-hmm. The next level up would be leading leaders. Then you have leading departments, and then you have leading the church. The reason why I share these various levels is because there are going to be times that God calls you to disciple or develop a leader that is further down in the pipeline, like multiple layers down from the layer in the pipeline that you're in. So for example, in this season, by God's grace, he's called us to lead the church. Mm-hmm. We're like leading the church at this level. And so if all of our discipleship and development is helping a new believer begin to lead themselves, I think there needs to be a piece of that. Sure. But for example, you and I are called to move people from developing departments to developing churches. We should be investing in church planters, campus pastors, like high-level leaders. And if we're not investing in those people, then we're going to look around in 5 years and the church isn't going to grow. We're not going to expand. We're thinking addition, not multiplication. I think this concept has really helped us. And it's really simple, man. Just start looking at all the different ministries, the people that are engaged, and really just take inventory on where your people are at and how you can help them take the next step in their discipleship journey on that leadership pipeline. I think that could be super helpful for our listeners.
It's spot on. I mean, and that's just organizationally, business-wise, all that kind of stuff, right? Because at the end of the day, you want to continue to help as many people as you can within your organization, outside. But when you really strategically partner in life with someone that you see potential at a certain level, now you're able to replicate yourself. What God wants to do through that individual is a powerful thing. So it's wisdom to me. And we've learned that the hard way throughout the years. And let's be honest, man, like investment in general, not every investment's going to turn out great. Totally. And that's fine, right? And there's reasons sometimes where you really believe God's asked you to invest in someone for a season, and you're like, I don't know if I'm seeing any ROI. And then who knows, 10 years later, something sparks and now someone comes back and does something amazing, in ministry or wherever. So
for sure. And we've seen that. And I think that's why I want to bring it back to the heart, because I think you nailed it. I mean, we got into some very practical weeds there, but I loved what you said at the front of the podcast, man. Discernment is key. Yep. Holy Spirit. Yep. What are you inviting me into? Who are you inviting me to invest in? Yep. And at the end of the day, man, obedience is greater than being strategic, right? Like obedience is greater than being strategic. So true. There are some times, man, that God is going to call you to invest in somebody that you're like, I don't know that this makes the most strategic sense, but I want to obey you. And I just believe that we'll experience fruit.
One thing that I was just thinking, Mike, like a dream of mine is if you look at Love Church, everybody that calls this home, everybody that is a genuine Christian that wants to move forward, imagine if every one of us have that mentality. I have a Paul, a Barnabas, and a Timothy at all times. Imagine the change in the church. Or someone listening from a different church, whatever. Imagine if it's not just the pastors, not just the key ministry leaders, but everybody in the church calls himself a Christian is practically walking through discipleship. We call it the blue book, but the very first thing we start with is the one-to-one discipleship book.
Yep.
These meetings we have 9 certain areas that are basics in our faith, but there's so much that comes life on life that comes through these meetings. But if everyone just committed to just that, imagine the growth of the church in depth, in width, because it's not just the pro Christians that are making disciples or investing. Everybody in the church.
Yeah.
Everybody. Jesus didn't say, go pastors and make disciples, or go some of you guys that are a little more, it's like go make disciples. All of us. And I think if everybody has that mentality, this 2T2, 1 Thessalonians chapter 2, Matthew 28, go make disciples. If every one of us have this mentality, to me, that's how we grow, we mature, we expand in a healthy way. If it's only a few of us that do that, I just don't see the healthy multiplication and growth.
Well, and what I've seen from you is I've seen, because I think perception can be sometimes when you're a growing organization, or in our case, a growing church, is it's all about the program. It's all about drawing the crowd. And that is the exact opposite of your heart. Like, I know, and I just even want to say this, like, the thing that keeps you up at night is, man, are the people being cared for,
invested in, growing.
This comes back to care.
Yeah.
Like, it really comes
That's
back
really
to
the
care.
word.
I see that in your heart, but I want to encapsulate this, because I think, I think this is really just an epidemic in organizational culture. It doesn't matter if it's the church or the marketplace or whatever. If we're not careful, because we do have a job to do. If you're in a business, you have a widget to turn, you've got an encounter to program, and we care about those things. We want to be great stewards of all those things. All right. But if we're not careful, especially, like, I'm kind of transitioning this from like church to now staff. It's like there are results and there's this performance element to a job, right? But if we're not careful, if we make development all about performance, and we don't care for the person,
yes,
what we don't create is an environment of psychological safety or trust. And what ends up happening, man, is I just think that people walk around on eggshells, and people aren't really developed and cared for to the degree that you're talking about. So can you share with our listeners, I think this is big. We may even have touched on this in one of our episodes a few months ago, but can you talk, what's it look like for you and I? Like, how do we do this every single week? We walk through, it's like every Wednesday, man, we're working through this template. And what I love about this template, the reason why I want you to share this, is because over 90% of what we talk about has nothing to do with my job.
That's right.
Now, there's a portion of it where you give me the freedom to share that. But when we do this, we're caring for each other's, like, soul. We're creating safe space to be known, to be vulnerable, to be honest. Can you share a little bit about that?
Well, first, let me just back up and just give the bigger picture concept. You're right. The number one word is care. Like, in 1 Peter chapter 5, shepherd the flock that's among you.
Yep.
Not grudgingly, right, but willingly, with the right motive. And that is a true pastor. It's a true leader. They are caring for the people entrusted to them. And what we talk about, Mike, is really throughout the whole organization, the heart is, the circle pulse combo, where, I'm grabbing your pulse. I'm like, how's Mike doing? Right? You are one of my direct reports. My wife is one of them too. I want to make sure that I'm caring and supporting you. And, and I would just say, think about this. If I have 2, 3, maybe 4 people that I'm caring for them, I have a regular rhythm, like you and me, for example. When we meet, we'll simply have a brunch and we go through, right? How's your pursuit of the Lord and your wife? How's your purity?
Yep.
Right? All of us, especially men, we get challenged in this area.
Yep.
Right? How's your stewardship when it comes to your time, your treasure, your talent, the people you're investing in?
That's it.
How you doing with that, right? Yep. And then the last one, I always ask you, Mike, put me to work. How can I support you in your role? How can I resource you, lift up your arms? What can I do to help you move forward and really do well in your job? And so what it is, I'm checking your pulse. And my circle right now is really you and Denise. I've limited my direct reports down to 2 people. But then what do? I ask you, who's your then direct reports? Mm-hmm. And if everybody has this mentality through the whole organization, who's in my circle, and catching their pulse through our staff, key leaders, through the rest of the body, now what are we doing? Because there's no way I can know all of our staff on how they're doing and how's their pursuit and how's their purity and how's their stewardship and how's their home and how's their, I would love to, but guess what? You know how I can do it? Is now we have a spirit-led system to care for people throughout the rest of the organization.
Come on.
And that's when it's really cooking with grease. And if that's actively happening and people are honest, that's the other thing. They got to participate too, man. Come on. Something's off. You know, you and I've had some deep conversation on, man, here's a struggle of mine right now. Mm-hmm. But we care for one another and we trust one another to help through that process. And so to me, that's part of this 2T2, investing, making disciples, caring. It's a beautiful thing.
Oh, come on. I hope you just caught that. Leader, you cannot do it all on your own. You can't do it all on your own. I know you care for the people. You care for them deeply, but you got to empower some people. I love what you say. Invest better in fewer.
So big.
Who will invest better in fewer. Man, take the heart that God has given you.
Don't be the lid.
Don't be the lid now. Give that away and develop others to do the same and watch that virus spread and your organization, your church get healthier and continue to grow and expand and impact people, because that's really what it's all about. So is there anything else that's burning in your heart that you want to share as we wrap this show?
You know, again, just specifically around this 2T2 initiative, the heartbeat you nailed. It's care, man. We want to care for the flock. We want to make sure that we're supporting people as they grow. And it's not just a Christian show. If you're not careful, you can go to Love Church and some other churches that have a phenomenal, worship team or, communicators or what, and I love excellence and I love, we keep the Bible centric, and all that. But if you're not careful, it can turn into a consumption show. And that's just the last thing we want.
That's it.
We want, we're going to come together on Sundays and weekends and have a holy party. But we want to break the huddle, make disciples, reach the lost, and do it for the long term. We're looking for lasting fruit, Mike.
Come on now.
And for that to occur, it's got to be all of us taking the initiative, getting a little uncomfortable, making it a priority to move forward. So that's what I would challenge all of us, man, all of us, that let's get after it, man, and prayerfully consider who it is the Lord's put in your sphere of influence to invest in this season.
It's so good. Well, thanks, PT, for just sharing wisdom on this subject. I think it's so prevalent right now. Yeah. We're seeing leaders tap and fall off like never before, and it breaks my heart. I know it breaks yours. Average pastors making it 2.5 years, and there's just this lie that leadership has to be lonely. We're just going to reject that. Come on now. If you're a part of this community, we're going to reject the notion that leadership is lonely. It's only lonely where we allow it to be lonely.
That's
so
right.
We hope that this episode encourages you that, man, to just take inventory in this season. Who is investing in you? Who's your Paul? Who are you running with? Who are your Barnabases in this season? And then, man, do you have some Timothys? And I think as you take inventory on even just that little framework, I think you'll be able to realize that there may be an area or two that's off, and you can be prayerful and be discerning about who those potential people could be so that you can be in this for the long haul. We're so thankful that you're tuning in and going on this journey with us, and we really do. We just pray that, man, this content blesses you, that you were encouraged, that you were challenged where you need to be challenged. And if you think of a leader that could benefit from this conversation, just encourage you to share it. I mean, we want to do all we can to get this message out. So thank you for being with us, and we'll see you next month. What's up, Love Leadership fam? Man, we know that if you're tuning in, you love to lead. And we hope that this episode brought you value. We're going to be dropping a new episode the third Thursday of every month. So subscribe, like. Also, there's more Love Leadership content for you on our channel. Go check it out right now. We can't wait to see you next month.